Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Paramagurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarvagurubhyo Namaha. So continue on with our discussion of Mumuksupadi with a commentary by Vyapika Lokacharya with a commentary by Manavalama Munigal. And we're going to start with Sutra number 14. Last time we were discussing about the Vyapika Mantras. There are 3 Vyapika Mantras, there are different mantras. There are the Vyapika and non-Vyapika Mantras. The non-Vyapika Mantras deal with different forms of the Lord and different avatars. And the Vyapika Mantras deal specifically with the most important lakshana or most important quality of God, and that is all pervasiveness. There are 3 of those: Om Namo Vishnave, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and Om Namo Narayanaya. They are the 6, the 12, and the 8-syllable mantras. So we discussed about those and why the 8-syllable mantra is considered greater than the other 2. So amongst all mantras, the Vyapika mantras are greater than the non-Vyapika mantras, and out of the Vyapika mantras, Om Namo Narayanaya, the Astakshara mantra, the 8-syllable mantra is more important than the others. So now we're going to just have a look at the book again and look at Sutra number 14. So in Sutra number 14, he says, the excellence of this utterance, meaning the Astakshara mantra Om Namo Narayanaya, the Vyapika in Sanskrit, is not like the excellence of its referent, the Vacha. Its referent means in the personality that we are referring to when we chant Om Namo Narayanaya or when we meditate on Om Namo Narayanaya is Lord Narayana. So there's a difference between the excellence of the mantra and the excellence of the person it names. The greatness of this utterance, the mantra, is not like the greatness of the Lord, the one to whom it refers. He gives the reason for saying this. Okay, so Sutra number 15. Let's also see what P.B. Anangacharya says about this. In his Mumuksupadi Sarata Dipika commentary, P.B. Anangacharya says the meaning again of the 14th sutra is the greatness of the mantra that speaks of the Lord is not the same as the greatness of the Lord himself. And he gives the answer to this in the brackets here. He says, that is, the mantra is considered greater than him, right? So the mantra itself, and the mantra is no different from the Lord. So obviously this is what we call shastric hyperbole, that we're trying to glorify the Astakshara mantra here. We're trying to say how great it is. And in order to say how great it is, we say it's even greater than the Lord himself. And there'll be some reasons which are given for this praise that we're praising the Tira mantra with. So he says, till now it has been shown that the Tira mantra is to be considered higher than other mantras, right? So up until now we said Tira mantra is greater than the non-Vyapika mantras, and it's even greater than the Vyapika mantras, which are also greater than the non-Vyapika mantras. So the Tira mantra is the greatest mantra. Vacha here means the meaning of the word, who is him, the person Srimad Narayana, and the Vachika is the actual word itself. That is the Tira mantra. So that's he's just explaining the meaning of the words in the sutra. The greatness of the Tira mantra is not equal to that of the Lord of whom it speaks. It is considered greater than his greatness. He is all great. He's the greatest. Even greater than him. What it's saying here is the greatness of the Tira mantra. Okay, so let's look back at Mumuksupadi. Okay, so Sutra number 15. Though the Lord remains far away, this stays near and gives help. This is very interesting. Okay, so so we can say the Lord is far away, but actually, in another sense, the Lord is very close too, because although the Lord is in Vaikuntha, right, which is considered far away, we could also say he's also within the heart. So he's also very close. So as super soul, though the Lord remains far away, this stays near and gives help. This meaning the mantra. Even when one who is referred to in this mantra, the Vacha, means the Lord, is not nearby, but far away, this utterance, the Vyapika, or the mantra, remains nearby and faithfully gives what is needed by those who utter it. Have there been, now, so that's a statement, so have there been such occasions when this utterance rendered aid while the one to whom it refers was far away? To this he reveals, and we're going to go to the 16th, but before we do, let's look at P.B. and Angacharyas. Again, the meaning of the sutra number 15 is, even if he who is the meaning of the word, means Lord Narayana, is far away, this Tira mantra, which is the word, will stay close and will give that which those who recite it seek. What is that which those who recite it seek? They seek moksha. They seek liberation. They are mumukshus. This book is called Mumuksupadi. Mumuksupadi means this is for the mumukshus, the people who want liberation. Here's commentary. How can we say that the word which speaks of him is greater than him? Right? It is because of the fact that even at times when he is far away and not easily reached, the Tira mantra stands close by and gives to those who keep uttering it what they wish to have. Right, so getting back to the book. Sutra number 16. In Draupadi's distress, it was the holy name that showered her with saris. So when Dushasana tried to disrobe her in the great assembly, Draupadi thought of what Sri Vasishta had said earlier. When great danger strikes, Lord Hari should be remembered. So, in her extreme distress, Draupadi sought refuge, saying, O Achyuta, who lives in Dwarka, right? Because Lord Krishna was living in Dwarka, bearing the conch and discus in his hands. O lotus-eyed Govinda, I seek refuge in you. Protect me. So we say, Dwarakani Lachita Govinda Pundari Kaksha Rakshamam Sharanagatam is the actual Sanskrit. And this prayer is chanted by us 3 times a day when we think about Draupadi's Sharanagati and when we do Sandhya Vandanam. In the Sandhya Vandanam, it's chanted. Right? As Krishna himself said, when Draupadi called out Govinda, I was far away from her. Even though Krishna, the one indicated by the name Govinda, was far away, it was that holy name of Govinda itself referring to that avatar, Lord Krishna in Dwarka, which provided her with multiple garments. If we look at what was done by a holy name, which refers to but a single part of the meaning of the word Narayana, right? So the names that Draupadi chanted was Achyuta, Govinda, right? Right? Here it's saying Govinda. She was chanting Govinda. She was praying to Lord Govinda and chanting his name. So here it's saying that if such a power was there just by the name Govinda, and remember the name Govinda is a name which is a non-Vyapika name, right? So it's only a part of the meaning of the word Narayana, just as Lord Krishna, right, is an expansion of Sriman Narayana, right? The superior quality of this mantra can be deduced by the principles of how much more. Kim Punar Nyaya Siddha. So siddha means perfection. Nyaya means logic. So there's a logic which is given here. It's called Kim Purna. Purna means again. How much? So Kim Purna means how much more? How much more? How much more? So if the word Govinda was so great and was greater even than Lord Krishna in Dwarka, then the word Narayana is so much greater than even Lord Narayana in Vaikuntha. He reveals its excellence in yet another method. Okay, so there's one example, in the example of Draupadi's Sharanagati, where she surrendered to the Lord, right? She chanted the name Govinda, and the name Govinda supplied the extra cloth to make sure that she wasn't disrobed in the assembly. So now he's going to give another example, even though the Lord was in Dwarka. So let's just have a look at the commentary again. So text 16. Again, it was the Govinda Nama, the name of Govinda, that protected and saved Draupadi at her time of distress by growing her saris in the Raj Sabha, expanding, I guess, her sari. In the Raj Sabha means the kingly assembly, the assembly of all the Kshatriyas there, where she had been wagered by the Pandavas, and had been lost. She had been lost in the gambling, and therefore the other Kshatriyas, the demoniac Kshatriyas, they wanted to disrobe her. So the story of the Pandavas losing Draupadi in a game of dice is well known. In the Rajasabha, Dushasan began to remove her clothes in front of everyone. At that time, Draupadi attempted to save herself by using her own means and failed. So first thing she did was she tried to save herself by her own strength. You know, so if you have a very strong Kshatriya trying to pull the sari off, no lady is going to be able to hold on. Recalling the sage Vashishta, what sage Vashishta had told her, that she should think of Sri Hari whenever she's in great danger, she then surrendered to him. Sankachakra Gadapane, Dwaraka Nila Achuta, Govinda Pundarikaksha, Rakshamam Sharanagatam. That is the sloka. And you can see a lot of it is in vocative case. Shankachakra Gadapane. Oh, you who have the disc and the conch in your hands, right? And so Shankachakra Gadapane means the person who holds the Shankachakra and the Gada, also the mace in his hands, right? Dwaraka Nila Achuta, Dwaraka Nila Achuta, O Achuta, O infallible Lord who lives in Dwarka, O Govinda, Pundarikaksha, O Lord with lotus-like eyes, Raksha Mam Sharanagatam. The word Sharanagati, of course, means surrender. So Raksha Mam means protect me, who are surrendered unto you. So I seek refuge with you, O Govinda, one who is adorned with the conch, discus, and mace, one who lives in Dwarka, one who never abandons his devotees, and one who is lotus-eyed. So again, this is a very, very common prayer which we chant every day when we do Sandhya Vandanam 3 times a day. We also pray like this because Draupadi's Sharanagati, Draupadi's property, Draupadi's surrender to the Lord is a very, very important form of surrender, and it shows that these some very important aspects of Vaishnava theology can be understood from her surrender. At that time, Krishna was not nearby. Govindeti Yadakrantat Krishna Mam Duravasina. Duravasina means he was living a long way away. Runam Pravrittamiva me Hridayat Na na pasarpati. When Draupadi begged for my help, this is what Lord Krishna said. When Draupadi begged for my help, calling out Govinda, I was far away. And that sadness has never left my heart. It keeps growing like interest on a loan. Even though Krishna was far away, his Govinda Nama, his name Govinda, which stood for the Krishna avatar, the name Govinda is non-different from Lord Krishna, grew her clothes or expanded her clothes and saved her. Did we not start to explain the greatness of the Narayana Nama? Why then has he given this example of Govinda Nama, the name of Govinda, instead of explaining the greatness of the word Narayana? So why are we using the example of the Govinda name, the name Govinda? If the name Govinda, which is nothing but Narayana name associated with one place, the name, what is the difference between the name Govinda and the name Narayana? The name Narayana is associated with every place. It's a Vyapika name. It's associated with every place. Am I right? The name Govinda is only associated with one place, where Lord Krishna is. And in this case, he was in Dwarka. But his name was there when Draupadi chanted it. Right? So it's not a Vyapika name, so it's associated with only one place. Right? So can do so much. The Govinda name can do so much that then does one have to explain further how one does not have to explain further the greatness of the name Narayana, because the name Narayana indicates the Lord everywhere. It's a Vyapika name. Okay, so going back to Mumuksupadi. So, do we have any other examples of this? Sutra number 17. If one recites this mantra, meaning again the Astakshara mantra, its true nature will not be lost, even if one recites it without the proper method. That's interesting. Unless people have faith in it as a refuge and then recite it, no mantra will do its work. However, this mantra, is not like that. So normally when we talk about mantras, we say, okay, here's a mantra for this. This is the purpose of the mantra. Even when we do the mantra nyasa, we say, what is the viniyogaha? What's the purpose of this mantra? So every mantra has a purpose, may have more than one purpose. Some of them have only one purpose. And they don't work, right? Unless people have faith in a mantra and they recite it, no mantra will do its work. However, this mantra is not like that. Om Namo Narayana is not like that, even without the procedure of having faith in it. So even if you don't have faith in it and reciting it, even if you don't recite it in this sense means do constant japa of it, or do a fixed number of japa of it, or whatever it is. If you don't have a sadhana where you're regularly reciting it, doing japa of it, or trying to get mantra siddhi, trying to get the perfection of it, right? If people merely utter it as a nickname, in jest, as an exclamation, or even scolding as a reproach, right? Scolding somebody. Right, and here, the thing which is being said here is the quotation given here is from the Bhagavatam. Sanketyam parihasyam va stobam helam eva va vaikuntanama grahanam ashesha grahanam vidhu. It's from the 6th canto, from the story of Ajamil. We hear about it in Gaudiya Vaishnavism as they call it the definition of namabhas, or chanting of the name, which is not pure but is not also offensive, like that. So even its true nature of protecting those who recite it will not be lost. So even if it's just uttered as a nickname, or a nickname, Ajamil had a nickname for his son, Narayana. In jest, you're just joking around and you say Narayana, right? As an exclamation, you say, "Oh, Narayana." So some people oh God, I bang my thumb, with a hammer, instead of the nail. So I say, "Oh God." So I say, "Oh, Narayana, Narayana," right? Or even as a reproach, somehow or other, I'm not sure how that works. If you're cursing somebody out and saying Narayana, saying the word Narayana. But in any case, even if it's uttered in these ways, thinking of other things, or not after some proper procedure, or not having proper faith in it, right? It still protects those who recite it. It still protects those who recite it. After this, he reveals its superiority in granting all that is desired. Okay, so let's have a look at the commentary by P.B. Nangacharya. So once again, the Sutra number 17, even if one were to slip from the proper method of reciting it with faith and completely surrendered. So the proper method of reciting a Ashtakshara mantra, Tira mantra, is with faith and being completely surrendered. That's the proper mentality to have when chanting it. The Tira mantra will not slip from its nature, even if you don't have that, which is providing full protection for those reciting it. Full protection means what? Just like the Lord says, Sarva dharmam paritaja mamekam sharanam ja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masachaha. Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. I will liberate you from the reactions of all sins, past, present, and future. Lord Krishna says that. So that is the full protection. What does Lord Rama say? He says, Abhayam sarva bhutebhyo. I will protect you from all living beings, and I will protect all living beings, and I will protect you from all living beings. I will protect everybody. If you just say once, I am yours, right? And Lord Varaha also says, even if you are if you are lying, dying like a stone or a log, if you can't remember me at the time of death, aham smarami madbhakta, right? I will remember you, and I will protect you at the time of death. So again, all these Charma slokas explain, by Lord Krishna, Lord Rama, and Varaha, they explain how the Lord will give protection to his surrendered souls. But this Tira mantra is greater, because even without being surrendered, right? Remember this. Even without being surrendered, even without having full faith, still it will provide all protection for those who are those reciting it. Right? That's the point being made here. So Lord Krishna says, surrender to me and I'll protect you. Lord Rama says, say I'm yours and I'll protect you. Varaha says, if you remembered me sometime in your life, if you were my devotee, I'll protect you even if you forget me at the time of death. But the Ashtakshara mantra will protect you even if you just recite it, even without faith and without being completely surrendered. So that is greater than the promises made by Lord Krishna, Lord Rama, and Lord Varaha. Thus, this is another way in which the Tira mantra's greatness is being celebrated. Previously, it was stated that there are countless mantras that speak of the Lord. Any mantra will work only for those who fully believe in it, utter it with great bhakti and shraddha, or devotion and faith, and in the proper manner. In the proper manner, there's a proper set of rituals and everything that one has to go through to utter particular mantras. But the Tira mantra will protect everyone who recites it, no matter how they do it. That is, it never fails in its nature. It never fails in its nature. So going back to the Mumuksupadi. After this, he reveals its superiority in granting all that is desired. So text number 18. This indeed grants all that is desired, as stated in the hymn beginning, it provides a noble family. This mantra, or this quote, as the Alwar reveals in the hymn beginning, it provides a noble family, grants all that one desires according to one's qualification. He explains. Let's see. Let's go back and see if P.V. Nangachara explains more about this. This Tira mantra will give that which is sought by devotees, as told by Tirumangai Alwar in his Pasuram, Kulam Tarum. So Tirumangai Alwar was the last chronologically of the 12 Alwars. And he has written in his works, the greatness of the Tira mantra is further explained by the fact that it will provide to those who recite it what they seek. And Tirumangai Alwar's Pasuram means a verse of the Nalaya Divya Prabandham in Tamil, right? His Pasuram says, the meaning of this Pasuram is the Narayana Nama, the name of Lord Narayana, of Lord Sriman Narayana, will give to those who recite it a high class or a high caste, right? Wealth. It will destroy all the cause of suffering to his devotees. It will give them moksha, or liberation. It will provide them his grace, right, or his mercy, and the strength to remain in his anubhava, and give all good things that are sought by them. Thus, the Tira mantra will provide all good things that are sought by those who keep reciting it. Nice. Let's just look and see. Anubhava. Sense. Anubhava means understanding, perception, apprehension, fruition, impression on the mind, not derived from memory. Experience, knowledge derived from personal observation or experience, result or consequence. The strength to remain in his anubhava, in his understanding, right? The strength to remain in his understanding. Okay, so let's look at text number 19. So text number 19 says, he explains this. For those who desire wealth, Aishwarya, the Kaivalya form of moksha, or attainment of the Lord, Bhagavalabha, right? Bhaga means the qualities of the Lord, the Ananta Kalyana Gunas, the unlimited auspicious qualities of the Lord, and Balaba means to enjoy those. The enjoyment of those qualities, personal qualities of the Lord. He's followed this from Kaivalya. Kaivalya means isolation. If you just want to have bliss by yourself in isolation, or if you want to enjoy the qualities of the Lord, his personal qualities, or even if you want some sort of material wealth or advancement, it will grant these. So, as it is said, quote, the wealth of this world, unworldly wealth, such as swarga. So there's wealth that we get in this world. There's other worldly wealth, like swarga. Swarga means going to heaven. Kaivalya means isolation, that type of impersonal liberation. or the Lord himself in Vaikuntha and his different personal qualities, right? Serving him. This mantra will enable one to attain them, right? So basically that's what is being said here. So whatever you're interested in, if you're interested in artha, kama, moksha, if you're interested in swarga, heavenly delights, if you're interested in kaivalya, in personal liberation, or even if you're interested in serving the Supreme Lord personally in Vaikuntha, thus it grants all these various aims, this worldly and otherworldly wealth, the kaivalya form of moksha, consisting of attainment of the Atman, right, the individual soul, the understanding or anubhava of the individual soul, right, or the anubhava of the Lord, the attainment of the Lord, which is a supreme aim, the Paramapurusha, right, which is considered by Vaishnavas to be a greater aim than all these others, greater than material wealth, greater than heaven, the delights of heaven, greater than the bliss of kaivalya or being alone and enjoying the bliss of the soul, right? Is the bliss of serving the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha. So this is the last one is considered the supreme aim, or the Parama Purushartha. Purushartha means goal. Parama means the greatest. For this mantra itself becomes a sadhana when used in sacred utterances, oblations, etc. Right? So whether it's used as japa, homa, adi. So it can be used in japa, chanting and remembering the meaning. It can be used in homa, or fire rituals, offering into the fire, etc. It can be used in archana, or deity worship. It can be used in many different ways. After this, he reveals the Tiramantra's excellence in aiding the other upayas, such as karma, jnana, obviously bhakti, right, etc. Right? So let's see what Vibhyanangacharya has to say about it. The Tiramantra will act as the upaya. What does the upaya mean? The upaya again means the means to the goal. The upaya is the goal. The upaya is the means to attain that goal. So the Tiramantra will act as the upaya, as the means, in providing to those who utter it through japa and homa, right? Either meditating on it and chanting it, or using it in fire ceremonies, or using it in deity worship, let's say, archana, that which they seek, be it the wealth in this world or in the next worlds, right? So here or in Swarga, the heavenly planets. Kaivalya, which is Atma Bhoga. Bhoga means enjoyment of the soul, right? Isolated enjoyment of the self. Or his lotus feet, which are the Parama Purushartha, service unto the Supreme Personality in Sri Vaikuntha, personal service. So the commentary says, previously it was stated that the Tiramantra will give to everyone what they seek and when they recite it. Will give what they seek when they recite it. When they recite it, it will give you what you seek. That is being explained in detail here. Wealth is of two kinds. One is the wealth of this world, which is living like a king, etc. Attaining swarga and being there with some title and power is wealth in the other world. So in another world in heavenly planets. Kaivalya is the realization of the soul. That is attaining Atma-jnana and enjoying that realization. So attaining Atma-jnana, the Atma or the soul is full of jnana. The soul is chit, sat, chit, and ananda. So chit means conscious. It's conscious. We are conscious, right? We're sentient beings. Sat, we're eternal. We have to realize that we're eternal, though right now we don't realize that we're eternal. We think that we're this body, and we think that the body is temporary, and therefore we think we're temporary. But we should actually understand, once we understand spiritual knowledge, we understand that we're not temporary, we're eternal. So we know we're conscious, right? I think, therefore I am, right? That's understood by even Western philosophers. So we understand that we're sentient. We have some understanding of that. We do not understand that we are eternal, but we are eternal. So by understanding spiritual knowledge, we will understand that we are eternal. And third thing, Ananda, we are full of bliss. So once we understand, once we are liberated, we understand everything, and our knowledge is unlimited, and our bliss is unlimited. So this Atma Jnana leads to bliss, bliss of the self, the bliss of the self. So that is a type of liberation. That is a type of liberation when we understand everything, and we are therefore blissful. But according to Vaishnavism, a greater thing than even that is to have all those qualities of Satchidananda, to have all those qualities of being, knowing one's cognizant, knowing one's eternal, and knowing everything about oneself, is to also be connected to the Supreme Lord and serving the Supreme Lord. So it comes together also, though. Once we realize the Supreme Lord, we can also see ourselves, right? Because we are a small part of the Supreme Lord. So just like when the sun rises, we also can see ourselves. The darkness is dispelled, then we can't see ourselves because there's darkness. But if we're trying to see ourselves without the sun, we can't see. If the sun comes up, we see the sun, but we also see ourselves. So Parama Purushartha, or Bhagavat Prapti. Prapti means to grasp, or to get, to attain. Attain Bhagavat, attain the Lord. Attaining the Lord means attaining the service of the Lord. Bhagavat Kainkarya Prapti. So that is the greatest. That is considered the greatest, greater than this idea of Kaivalya, of simply enjoying the bliss of the soul, individually and separately. That is attaining his lotus feet and the fruit of Kainkarya, the fruit of Kainkarya. So service is actually a fruit, is actually a goal, right? For the Vaishnavas, the service of Sriman Narayana, that is the goal. The Tiramantra will act as a sadhana. Sadhana is a method that we go through, like an upaya. Sadhana means something that we do, and through the acts of japa and homa will give all these fruits to those who seek them. After this, he reveals the Tiramantra's excellence as aiding the other upayas, karma, jnana, and bhakti. Now we remember that in the scriptures, the Lord has taught different methods. They've taught different methods or different upayas to reach liberation. So if we look at the Bhagavad Gita, we see he's teaching karma yoga, he's teaching jnana yoga, he's teaching bhakti yoga, and then finally he's teaching prapatti, or surrender. So text 20 says, for those who are involved in karma, jnana, and bhakti, it gets rid of obstacles and makes these upayas succeed. So for those who are not surrendered unto the Supreme Lord in the sense of doing prapatti, those who haven't done prapatti, who haven't done sharanagati or surrendered at the feet, or become a refugee at the feet of the Lord, but instead, and who therefore haven't placed all the emphasis and all in the Lord, doing everything for us and saving us, but who think that they have to do through their own efforts some system to either aid the Lord or to somehow aid in their salvation. For those persons who follow the paths of karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, it gets rid of obstacles and it makes these methods succeed. So karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga also, they require the Lord's grace. It's not that we can, there's a system in India called karma kanda. Karma kanda is different from karma yoga. Karma yoga is a cooperative system where you work and you offer the fruits of your work to God, and therefore you get liberated. Jnana yoga means you study you study the scriptures, you study spiritual life, and by your studies you become enlightened, and therefore you become liberated. But and Bhakti Yoga is by devotional acts like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Parasevanam, Achanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakam, Nivedanam, these Navada Bhakti, these 9 different forms of Bhakti, hearing, chanting, remembering the Lord, offering prayers, worshipping the feet, all these different things, that the Lord bestows his grace, that you do your effort and the Lord bestows his grace, and therefore you're successful. So what he's saying here is that the Tira mantra also helps with that. That there are also, this is also, remember, part of Artha Panchagam, is that there is a goal, but there's also obstacle, there's a method to reach the goal, the upaya, but there's also what we call upaya virodi. Upaya virodi means obstacles in the way of the goal, right? So there's a way to get to the goal, but there's also obstacles. So when there's no obstacles for the Lord. So if the Lord, when a person is a prapana and he's surrendered to the Lord, he's a refugee at the feet of the Lord, there's no obstacles for that person because the Lord is doing everything. So there has to be an obstacle. There's no obstacle that would stop the Lord from doing something. But if we're relying partly or fully on our own efforts, there can be obstacles that can set us back. So what he's saying here is the Tira mantra removes those obstacles for the karmis, the gyanis, the karma yogis, the jnana yogis, and the bhakti yogis. It removes those obstacles and it makes those succeed. It helps those to succeed, right? So those have to have the grace of the Lord anyway to succeed. There are some people who are karmakandis. The karmakandis say, no, even without the grace of the Lord, even if there is a God, we don't need his grace. We just simply do the act, and by doing the act, we get liberation, or we get our goal, or whatever we desire. So we don't accept that, karma kanda. But we do accept karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga. These are upayas. These are other upayas, what we could call anya upayas, other upayas from property. Sri Vaishnavas are mostly performing property. Everybody's performing property. Everybody's surrendering to the feet of the Lord, because that is the easiest, quickest, and most sure method of attaining moksha. So, I got a question here. So, Swami, it is saying here that the Tira mantra will act as upaya for those who chant it. Now, we accept that the Tira mantra is non-different from the Lord, but still, for us, our philosophy is that Lord alone is the siddhopaya and the upaya as well. Not that we need to chant any mantra or do any effort. So although we can take it, the mantra, as an upaya, this is not our process, correct? So that's right. So ultimately, it was described also in Sri Vachanabhushana when we were discussing Sri Vachanabhushana. First of all, a person has to control his mind and senses, right? Control his mind and then his senses, right? That in order to approach an acharya, right? Because people who are just hell-bent on material sense gratification in this world, and they don't approach spiritual people. They don't approach the acharyas. There has to be some spark of interest in spiritual things to approach an acharya or a teacher. So once they approach the teacher will help them. He's like a mediator between them and God. The teacher is helping them to approach God. The way the teacher helps them to approach God is the teacher gives them the Tira mantra. Right? He helps them to perform the Samashrayana, do the Pancha Samskaras, whatever it is. And in that he gives them the Tira mantra. The Tira mantra is therefore the initial contact that the person has again with the Supreme Lord. Because the Tira mantra is no different from the Supreme Lord. So here all it's saying is that the Tira mantra is the initial means. It's non-different from the Lord, so it's therefore non-different from the primary means. The primary means of liberation is the Lord himself. The Lord does everything. The initial means is the Tira mantra. we chant the Tira Mantra. Even if we don't chant the Tira Mantra, we think about the Tira Mantra. At least we know about the Tira Mantra, and we know the meaning of the Tira Mantra. And therefore, whether we chant it or not a lot, or whether we, have some ritual sadhana for chanting it or not, if we have the Tira Mantra and we understand the meaning of the Tira Mantra, it will help us. It will help us. It is the Lord. Therefore, it's helping us. In the beginning, we are considering the Tira Mantra to be the means, but it's really the primary means. Ultimately, it's the Lord that is the means and not even the mantra. So is it possible for the Lord to give liberation to somebody who doesn't even have initiation into the Tira Mantra? Yeah, of course it is. The Lord himself is the means of all liberation, like that. But he gives the mantra because the mantra is an easy way for people to connect with the Lord. The Lord's in Vaikuntha, as was just stated. So the Lord's in Vaikuntha. The Lord's in Vaikuntha, so we have no connection with him. He's far away. Even if we say, no, he's there within the heart, can we look inside ourselves and like yogis, like mystic yogis, can we look inside our heart and see the Lord? Can we realize that the Lord is there within the heart or within the mind? Heart and mind, basically, same thing. So can we look there and see that the Lord is there, that the Lord is there? We know that we exist. We know that we are conscious. We know that we are sentient, right? Because of consciousness. But do we know the super soul is there? Do we understand that? Do we really have a direct vision of the super soul? No. So that's also to be. These different forms of the Lord are also explained as in an analogy to be like different forms of water. If I'm thirsty, I go to somebody and I say, I'm thirsty, I need water. They say, well, look, up in the sky, there's clouds. Clouds are full of water, right? That's no use to me. If I'm thirsty, how can I get the water from the clouds? Unless it rains. It's not raining, right? So that is just like the Lord in Vaikuntha. So the Lord in Vaikuntha is no use to me. The Lord in Vaikuntha is no use to me. But what about the different incarnations? When the rain comes down and there's a flash flood, then you can get water. So if somebody says to me, you're thirsty, why don't you just wait till it rains? Or wait. I can't wait. I can't wait until it rains to quench my thirst. Neither can I go up and get the water out of the clouds. So I can't wait for some avatar like Lord Krishna or Lord Rama or Lord Narasimha to descend to get his mercy. Right? Draupadi couldn't wait for Krishna to come from Dwarka to save her. She needed to be saved immediately. Right? We are drowning in this material world. We need to be saved immediately. So the proximity of the Lord in Vaikuntha, the Lord in the different as an avatar, and the super soul. The super soul is like water under the ground, right? It's inside the body. And how do we get water under the ground? We dig a well. You get a machine and you have these people and you dig a bore well. Sometimes you have to even break through layers of rock. I had to do this in my house in Sri Rangam. We had to dig a bore well, and we had to go down so many feet, and we had to break through a layer of granite rock to get through to the pure water. So I can't do that either. That's too much effort. That cost me a lot of money in Sri Rangam to have them go down that far with a bore well. So I cannot spend that time and that effort to do mystic yoga so that I can see the super soul. I can't do that. But what I can do is very simple, is when I approach the Acharya can give me the Tira Mantra. He immediately gives me the Tira Mantra and I have the Upaya. The Lord is there. Immediately he gives me the Tira Mantra and explains to me the meaning of the Tira Mantra. I've got the Upaya. Right? I've quenched my thirst. That is considered to be like water in the palm of your hand. All you need to do is sip it. All you need to do is sip it. If water is there in the palm of your hand, and you quench your thirst. So we reach the goal, but how do we reach the goal? If we're a mystic yogi, we can meditate on the Lord in the heart. That may take lifetimes. That may take a long time, right? We can meditate on the Lord in Vaikuntha. We can wait around until Krishna avatar descends again or Ram avatar comes again for the mercy. We can't do that. We need to be saved, and we need to be saved right now, just like Draupadi. So therefore, the way to do that is to simply use the Tira mantra, which is here and now and available to us and right there and on the tip of our tongue, and in our minds, the understanding of it. So anyway, once again, getting back to verse 20 here. For those who are involved in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, these are other upayas apart from property, right, or surrender. It gets rid of the obstacles, and it makes these upayas, these methods succeed. For those involved in Karma Yoga and the like, if they take it as an aid in their sacred utterances, oblations, etc., it gets rid of the sin that prevents them from starting Karma Yoga and prevents their rights, karmas, from being interrupted. And in this way, it makes them succeed. Okay, so Karma Yoga is not just working at any job necessarily, but it also involves doing spiritual works, like doing fire ceremonies, doing different rituals. So in those jobs, if we invoke the Tira mantra at the same time, they will help us by doing different things. They will help us. They will help us to do the karmas. What as Arjuna was worried also about even doing karma yoga. How can I do karma yoga when there's so much sin or reaction to so many beginningless sins that I have in me? So I have all these reactions. So this sin prevents me from even starting karma yoga. I can't even start karma yoga because I'm so sinful, right? So that sin prevents us from starting karma yoga. That sin also prevents us from continuing karma yoga uninterrupted, right? Because we have so many desires while we're trying to do something, we get distracted and we go off and we commit some other mistake or some other sin, right? It also helps us because even when we're doing the karma yoga, we might commit some mistakes. At the end of doing some karma, we always say mantrahinam, kriyahinam, bhaktihinam, janana. If I don't have any bhakti, I haven't chanted the mantras correctly, I haven't done this procedure correctly, kriyahinam, right? I haven't done this procedure correctly. But what saves me is the utterance of the Tira mantra. In Sri Vaishnava ritualism, when we do a fire sacrifice, at the end, they do Dvadasanama Homa. A lot of times they'll do Dvadasanama Homa, and they'll offer the names of the Lord. Instead, the Vedic prescription is a thing called Jayadi Homa. This is just technical. So there's a Jayadi Homa, which is certain Vedic mantras which are offered into the fire for prayaschitta, for any mistakes that we committed in the main part of the fire ceremony. Instead of that, many Sri Vaishnavas, they just simply do the names of Lord Narayana. Keshavaya Namaha, Narayana Namaha, Madhavaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Keshavaya Swaha, Narayana Swaha, Madhavaya Swaha, and they offer into the fire. So through the names of the Lord, right? This is getting rid of any sins or any problems, any mistakes that we made in performing the ritual, the karma. For those who are involved in Jnana Yoga, now if you're involved in Jnana Yoga and studying, right, if they take this mantra, Om Namo Narayana, as an aid in the beginning, it will also get rid of obstacles in that undertaking of jnana, which is to be achieved by karma, right? So actually Jnana Yoga involves karma yoga, right? You can't just learn. You can't learn without some effort. So there has to be some actual physical effort to learn things. You have to read something, you have to hear something, you have to engage your senses, your working senses, your knowledge acquiring senses. in Jnana Yoga. So for those who are doing Jnana Yoga, if they undertake this mantra in the beginning, it's an aid in the beginning, and it gets rid of obstacles in the undertaking of jnana, which is to be attained by karma, and causes their knowledge to increase day by day. Why does it cause their knowledge to increase day by day? Because again, the mantra Om Namo Narayana is not different from the Lord, and the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita that I am the source of all knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So if we use the Lord in the form of the Astakshara mantra, he is going to give us the realization of the knowledge. And if we try to learn something or understand something or realize something from the scriptures without the aid of the Lord or without the aid of the Astakshara mantra, maybe we won't understand it. But certainly if we use the Astakshara mantra or the meaning of the Astakshara mantra, and which is the Lord himself, certainly we will understand it, because it's from the Lord himself that the knowledge comes, not from our endeavor to read or to listen or to understand. The causes of that knowledge increase day by day, thus making it successful. So this is in detail how Jnana Yoga, we talked about how Karma Yoga is made successful by the Astakshara mantra. Now we talk about Jnana Yoga is successful by the Astakshara, right? Now we're going to also talk about if it's taken as an aid involving in Bhakti Yoga, right? Bhakti Yoga, again, Navada Bhakti, all those different processes of devotion to the Lord, right? It gets rid of obstacles to the beginning of Bhakti Yoga. Just to start Bhakti Yoga, there's so many obstacles. So the Astakshara gets rid of that, causes that devotion or Bhakti to increase. During our process of Bhakti Yoga, the use of the Astakshara mantra is going to cause our Bhakti to increase, and it will make it succeed, right? So in so many ways, the Astakshara mantra is great. It is great, not just for the prapanas, not just for the persons who are refugees at the feet of the Lord, but it's also great for the Karma Yogis, Jnana Yogis, and Bhakti Yogis, because it helps them succeed. So now, on the other hand, he reveals the excellence of the aid it provides to the prapana. So we've talked about how it helps the Karma Yogi, how it helps the Jnana Yogi, how it helps the Bhakti Yogi. Now he's going to describe how it helps the prapana. So let's have a quick look at the commentary also. For those who are interested in following either Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, the Tira Mantra will help remove the obstacles to prevent them, who has taken its help, from starting in that path, and will help them in completing their journeys in that path, right? So the Tira Mantra is further celebrated by showing that it will help support Karma, Jnana, and Bhakti Yogas. As explained by Sri Alavandar Yamunacharya in Gitartha Sangraha, if we remember Gitartha Sangraha, which we studied with Dr. Tira Narayana, which is what again? The essence of the Gita in 32 verses summarized by Yamunacharya, right? Gita Artha means the meaning of the Gita. Sangraha means brought together. So the meaning of the Gita brought together and in very few verses, right? He says in there, Karma Yogas, Tapas Tirtha, Dana Yagyadi, Sevanam. The Karma Yoga, that Karma Yoga is the use of penance, following rituals such as homas, etc., right, such as fire ceremonies, faithfully, completely until the time that they bear the fruit seeked. Jnana yogo jitas pantai parishudhyat mani stitihi. Jnana yoga, he explains what Jnana yoga is. Jnana yoga is winning over the senses and forever focusing the thought and meditating on the pure soul. Bhakti yoga paraikanta priya dhyanadishu stitihi. Bhakti yoga is having great love only to the Paramapurusha, the Supreme Person, Sriman Narayana, and fixing that love through meditation, archana, deity worship, etc. Among these yogas, for those who wish to follow the Karma Yoga, If they perform japa and homa with Tira mantra, it will remove the obstacles that prevent them from ever beginning this yoga and continue to help such that they are always stay on that path. If they choose jnana yoga, as they recite the mantra, it will remove all obstacles in following this path and will help them to fulfill the journey. If they choose bhakti yoga and take the Tira mantra's help, it will remove the obstacles on that path and will keep growing their bhakti all the time. So these are all reasons to consider using the Astakshara mantra in all these different endeavors: karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga. So getting back to the verse 21. So now we're talking about what is going to be the aid that the Astakshara mantra gives to the prapana, to the person who does prapati or the refugee at the Lord's feet. We've talked about how it helps the karma yogi, the jnana yogi, and the bhakti yogi, but how does it help the prapana? For those involved in prapati, having given rise to knowledge of the soul's true nature, swarupa, right? Because that's really what prapati is. Prapati is simply the realization of the soul's true nature, or swarupa. It becomes a way to pass time and a cause for enjoyment, right? So ultimately, one may take initiation from an acharya, and the acharya gives the Tira mantra, and one thinks the Tira mantra is the upaya, is going to take one to liberation, as it says in the Upanishad. In the Upanishad, it says, Om Namo Narayana iti mantropasakaha Vaikunta bhuvana lokam gamishati. That person who worships the Tira mantra, right, Om Namo Narayana, will go to Vaikunta, right? It says that. So we just simply take the idea from the Upanishad that this is what is going to give liberation. But actually, after we do prapati, when we do prapati with surrender, we come to realize that yes, we initially understood that the Astakshara mantra is going to do that, but afterwards it simply becomes, because at the time of prapati, we have understood our the soul's true nature, or swarupa. So it simply becomes a way to pass time until the Lord takes us to Sri Vaikunta, and a cause for our enjoyment. We like to chant, we like to use the Astakshara mantra, and therefore it becomes like that. It becomes like that. This method of prapati, or pratyupaya, right? Pratyupaya, right, is easy and in accord with the soul's true nature, or swarupa. Not difficult or contrary to the nature like the others stated previously. Why does he say this? Why does he say that these other things, these other anya upayas, these other upayas, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga, are difficult? Well, we know why they're difficult, because they involve effort by the individual. The individual has to be qualified to perform them. And no individual is qualified to perform them here in this world, because every individual has unlimited, endless, beginningless karmas or sins, sinful reactions heaped upon them, right? So, and also there may be some other qualifications also involved, right? So even to start these other yogas, we're not qualified. What to speak of completely finishing these yogas or doing them properly or completely, right? So they're difficult. These other ones are difficult. And ultimately, according to the Tenacharya Sampradaya, especially, right, they are contrary to the nature. They're contrary to that nature. What nature? The nature of the true swarupa of the Lord, of the true swarupa of the soul. The true swarupa, the true nature of the soul, is to be completely subservient and dependent upon the Lord. If you are completely dependent on something, right, then there's no effort by yourself that can save yourself. If you're completely dependent on the Lord, if you understand that you're completely dependent on your Lord, how can you make an effort? You can't. Your effort means nothing. because you're completely dependent on the Lord only and not on anything else. You're not, meaning you're not dependent on your effort. The grace of the Lord, liberation, nothing, no goal is dependent upon your effort, because you're not making an effort. The Lord is actually making the effort for the proper. For those persons doing other forms of self-effort, this karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga are paths of self-effort. You may be doing only a little self-effort and relying on the mercy of the Lord for the rest of it. It's maybe cooperative grace that you're looking for, but you still have to perform your effort in those paths. That's what makes them difficult, and that's ultimately what makes them contrary to the ultimate nature of the soul. The ultimate nature of the soul being completely dependent on the Lord. So when you're completely dependent on the Lord, you're not dependent on anything else. So that's why we say that that it is contrary to the real nature of the soul, right? Other people will say, no, all of these other upayas are acceptable. But the Tenacharya Sampradaya especially will say, no, they're not really acceptable, because there's a little bit of egoism there. There's a tiny fraction of egoism there. The idea that I have to do something, that I alone have to do something in order to get the grace of the Lord. You don't, because that's not your position. You cannot be dependent on your own efforts to any minute degree if you're actually totally 100% surrendered to the Lord. If you totally understand that His grace only, and that you're totally subservient and dependent upon Him, then you cannot be dependent upon your own efforts in any way, shape, or form, however minute. That's the point, right? So that real realization of our actual situation of complete dependence on the Lord is only there in property, in the system of property. Or full surrender. So for those involved in it, that is in the system of property, right? The Tira Mantra brings about knowledge of the soul's true nature, right? Because this whole discussion of the Astakshara mantra here in the Astakshara Prakaranam, the first part of Mumuksupadi, is going to explain exactly in the mantra the knowledge of the true nature of the soul and the true relationship that we have to the Supreme Person, Sriman Narayana, of the true nature of complete dependence. So, for those involved in property, the Tira Mantra brings about the knowledge of the soul's true nature as dependent on the Lord, Bhagavat Paratantriya. He is the only one who is Swatantriya. He is Swatantra. He is completely independent. Swatantra means independent. Paratantra means totally dependent. Bhagavat Paratantriya means the soul is totally dependent on the Lord and no one else. We are not dependent on other souls. We are not dependent on material nature. We are not dependent on anything. We are only completely and totally dependent on the Lord, with which that property is in accord. The property, actual property, is in accord with this idea. So actual surrender to the Lord means this, and this is the difference between active and passive surrender. And the active surrender of the Vadagalais or of the other Vaishnavas who perform karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga, the type of surrender which is described in Navada Bhakti as Atmanivedanam, involves effort, involves individual effort, which again involves that tiny, minuscule idea of ego, of false ego, that we can do something to save ourselves, and therefore we are dependent upon our own efforts in some small way, some tiny, tiny way, right? That is rejected by the Tenacharya Sampradaya. We accept only completely that we're completely subservient and dependent on the Lord, Bhagavat Paratantra, which is described here. Bhagavata Paratantriya. It also provides a way to occupy one's time by meditating on its meaning. Yes, so we can pass time. What time do we have to pass? We have to, after we perform property, after we do property, after we have understood and surrendered to the Lord, right? Understood our position, then we may have some time between now and the time of death when we leave this body to be taken by the Lord to his eternal service in Sri Vaikuntha. So we do have some time. So we can fill up that time by meditating on the meaning of the, now why is he said here meditating on the meaning? Just chanting japa, just mindless repetition of any mantra is not prescribed by anybody in any scripture. One has to have faith in the mantra, one has to have know the meaning of the mantra, and the more esoteric, the more inner meaning, the more esoteric meaning you have in the mantra, the more you're going to get out of meditating on the mantra, right? Using the mantra, right? Even we have to say that the japa of the mantra is less important than the meaning of the mantra. The meaning of the mantra is most important, right? Because what is the meaning of the mantra? The meaning of the mantra is Bhagavat Paratantriya. The meaning of the mantra is that we are totally dependent on the Lord. If you understand that you're totally dependent on the Lord, you don't even need the mantra. That is the meaning. The mantra is there to help us to understand that meaning. If we understand that meaning already, then we understand that meaning. Then we've understood. Then we've understood our true nature. That is property. That is what property is. So with or without the mantra, property can be attained by understanding the meaning of the mantra. The mantra is there as a via media to help you to understand that meaning. So what is important? Not simply repetition of the mantra. What is truly important is understanding the meaning of the mantra, internalizing the meaning of the mantra. That is important. So it's provided as a way to occupy one's time by meditating on the meaning. Meditating on the meaning, understanding the meaning, we are already there. Right? Some people in other sampradayas and things that they talk about Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means liberated while still in this body. If you truly understand that you are totally dependent on the Lord, then you are in effect you're liberated already. Although in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya we don't say that somebody is actually liberated until they have transported to Vaikuntha and they're actually serving the Lord, engaged in service of the Lord in Vaikuntha. But we can engage in a service here. One of the ways we can serve him is by chanting Astakshara mantra or using it in different rituals, or we can simply meditate upon the meaning of it. Meditating on the meaning of it, as I've explained, is property. That's what it is. So understanding the meaning of Astakshara mantra, which explains to us Bhagavat Paratantriya, that we are totally dependent on the Lord and not at all, even one iota, dependent upon our own efforts, right? That is property. That is the means, and that is the end. So it also provides a way to occupy our time by meditating upon it, its meaning. As the Alwar says, quote, as for me, Vishnu's holy name, Tirumal Tirunamam. So Tirunamam means the holy name. Namam, Tiru means tree. So Tirunamam. And Tirumal is a Tamil word which means Lord Vishnu or Sriman Narayana, Tirumal. So as for me, the Alwar says, Lord Vishnu's holy name, right? Sriman Narayana's holy name is honey, milk, and nectar. It's honey, milk, and nectar. It's so delightful. It's so delightful to the Prapana. It's delightful to the Bhakti Yogi, Kama Yogi, and Jnana Yogi also, but it's also delightful to the Prapana, and he can meditate upon its meaning, and it's so delightful for him for the rest of his life. Since it is delightful in itself, like the one to whom it refers, that is the Supreme Lord Vishnu, Sriman Narayana, it is the cause of enjoyment, right? So the Astakshara mantra Om Namo Narayana is a delightful mantra in and of itself, because it refers to the person who is got unlimited auspicious qualities, who is totally delightful. So he has ananta kalyana gunas, unlimited auspicious qualities, and therefore he is a source of delight for his dependencies, his dependents. We are his dependents. We are totally dependent on him, and therefore we are totally delighted with him because of his auspicious qualities. And therefore that, meditating on that by chanting or even thinking about the meaning of the Tira mantra, that is a cause of our delight in this world, our enjoyment. So continuing on, after this, he reveals it's excellent in explaining all the truths that need to be known. Okay, so let's have a look and see what P.B. Nangacharya said about this verse here. For those who are interested in nothing but property to the Lord, the Tira mantra will make them understand the nature of their soul, which is that it is enslaved to him. It will facilitate the passage of time by its meanings and utterance. Now notice here in this translation, he put meanings first and then utterance. Why? Because the meaning is more important than the utterance of the mantra. And by its own nature will be very sweet to them, because of the nature of the mantra is the same as the nature of the Supreme Lord Srimad Narayana. It is sweet. It's enjoyable. The yogas talked about before, Kama Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, are not easily practiced. Property, on the other hand, is easy, and for those who follow that path, the Tira mantra makes them understand their true nature of being enslaved to none but the Lord. Not only are you enslaved to the Lord, you're not enslaved to anybody else, right? You're not dependent upon anybody else. You're not dependent at all upon your own effort as well. Your own, whatever tiny efforts you can make. Because in Vedanta, Shankaracharya and other acharyas have insisted that the soul is a karta. Even Vedanta Deshika and some of the Vadagalaya acharyas, they emphasize that the soul, which is described in Vedanta as a karta, as a doer. We don't, as Tenacharya Sampradaya, we don't emphasize the doership of the soul. Why? Because the doership of the soul, whatever the soul does itself, right, is actually very limited. But it doesn't emphasize our total dependence on the Lord, right? If we think that we can do anything at all. So it doesn't emphasize Bhagavat Paratantriya, which is actually the true ultimate nature of the soul, right? Not that the soul is a doer, but that the soul is dependent. So, property, on the other hand, is easy, and for those who follow that path, the Tira mantra makes them understand their true nature of being enslaved to none other but the Lord. It also is useful in passing time in its utterance, as well as learning its inner meanings. It also, by its very nature, is very sweet to study and to recite. As said by Tirumangai Alwar, again he's quoting from Tirumangai Alwar, in the Pasaram, and I'm not going to try the Tamil there, but that is, it is most pleasing to experience, just as the Lord is also most pleasing to experience. Good. So as it was said in the other translation, like milk and honey and nectar. Okay. So now, after he reveals the its excellence, and explaining, it's going to explain the excellence in explaining all truths that need to be known. Okay. So, Sutra 22, as it is said, rather than speaking of other things, it is said, rather than speaking of other things, all the truths which must be known are contained in it. As the Alwar said, rather than speaking of other things, I have learned your 8-syllable Tira mantra. Now, thus, all the special truths that must be known to save the soul are contained in this mantra, right? So, Tirumangala is saying, rather than speaking of other things, I have learned your 8-syllable mantra. Now, the idea is, if anybody knows the history of the Alwars, that Tirumanga Alwar was actually initiated directly by the Lord himself in the Tira mantra. There's a Leela with Tirumanga Alwar where Tirumanga Alwar attacks the Lord and Goddess Lakshmi, who are who have come and have disguised themselves as wealthy merchants and are going through the forest. And Tirumanga Alwar at that time, he was robbing wealthy people in order to feed Vaishnavas and also in order to build the temple of Sri Ranga. He had to feed so many Vaishnavas every day because his fiance, his consort, made him promise that if she married him, he would feed so many Vaishnavas every day, which cost a lot of money. And he also found the deity of Ranganatha in Sri Rangam that had been buried under the sand and brought him to light again and built the temple, began to build the temple of Ranganatha with his own money and with the other money from other people that he took. So he attacked the Lord and Goddess Lakshmi, who had come. He didn't realize it was them. And he took all their jewels and there was one jewel left on a toe ring that the Lord had on his foot. And so the Alwar was unable to take the toe ring off the foot to relieve the Lord of that. So he thought, at least if I can't get the ring off the Lord's toe, at least what I can do is I can bite the stone, the precious gem on the toe ring. I can bite it and pull it out of the setting that it's on the gold ring, and I can at least take the gem, the jewel. And this will help me to build the temple of Sri Rangam. So when he did that, he began to bite the stone. The flat part of his teeth was touching the skin of the Lord's feet. So at that time, he got the realization that this is actually my Lord Ranganatha, who's appeared here. And at that time, the Lord initiated him into the Astakshara mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya. So he came to that realization that simply, rather than speaking other things, rather than talking about all sorts of other things, I have learned your 8-syllable Tira mantra. So the idea is that by knowing the Tira mantra, everything is to be known. All truths are to be known. All knowledge is to be known. So thus all the special truths that must be known to save the soul are contained in this mantra. Because what has to be known? What has to be known? One will know everything in liberation, because the knowledge is expanded. There is no more covering of Maya in liberation. There's no covering of Maya in liberation. If somebody tells you that in liberation you're still going to be in Maya, then what kind of liberation is that? What kind of liberation is that? No, in liberation we know everything perfectly. We know everything. There's no covering of Maya. There's no type of illusion in that state. So in order to reach that state, we have to have this understanding of paritantriya. We have to understand that we're completely dependent upon only the Lord. If we understand that we're completely dependent on only the Lord, then we will reach that state of knowing everything. And therefore, in order to understand that complete dependence on only the Lord, the Tira mantra gives us that information because of its meaning. Because of its meaning. So simply chanting the Tira mantra is not enough. We have to understand its meaning. So what are these things which have to be known? What are these things that have to be known? Okay, so now Tirumangala is saying, I now understand everything. But what are the things that need to be known? What actually needs to be known? We've already given a hint of it. We said the Bhagavad Paratantra, but how is that in the Tira Mantra? How is that in the Tira Mantra? Right? What are the things that need to be known in order to attain liberation? Now we're coming to what is called Artha Panchakam. Artha Panchakam. So let's go to the other translation for a second. So as in Tirumangayalwar's Pasuram, this mantra has in it all the meanings that are required to uplift the soul, right? The Tira mantra is now being celebrated as one that contains all the meaning that the meanings that one needs. Tirumangayalwar sang, and its meaning is, O Lord of Tirukanapuram, Tirukanapuram. Right, so there's a place called Tirukanapuram. Kanda the word Kanda usually means Krishna in Tamil. Kanda is another name of Krishna. So it will not be with those who consider, I will not be with those who consider attachment to gods other than you. Right? I will not be with those who attach. I will not associate with those persons who are interested, who are attached to gods other than you, Sriman Narayana, right? So this is also something part of property, that if you're surrendered to the Lord, you're not surrendered, or you're not associated with people who are surrendered to other devatas, other persons, other personalities in this world or in the heavenly world, like that. Anya devatas, Anya devata nasti, no resorting by prapanas, by those who are Sri Vaishnavas, to other devatas, right? Your divine Astakshara mantra, your divine Tira mantra, has in it all meanings that one has to learn. Yet I will not consider all those meanings, and instead consider that the only meaning of Tira mantra is Bhagavad Kain Karya, and learn that alone. So his idea, Tirumangayalwar's idea is that the only meaning, the ultimate meaning of Tira mantra, of Astakshara mantra, is Bhagavad Kain Karya, which means Bhagavata Kain Karya, which means the service of the Lord. There's two. There's the service of the Lord, and there's the service of the devotees of the Lord. Right? Aradhananam sarvisham Vishnu Aradhanam param tasmat paradhanam devi tariyanam sa'achanam. That we, as Vaishnavas, we consider the service of the Lord to be great. We consider the service of the Lord's devotees, the Bhagavatas, to be even greater than the service of the Lord. So those are the services that we seek. Why? Because we understand that we are completely dependent upon the Lord and the other Bhagavatas and the other Vaishnavas, the mercy of the Lord and the other Vaishnavas. So therefore we seek their service. So that is the meaning of the Tira mantra. So here, the phrase given there is, it is clear that the Tira mantra has in it all meanings that are necessary for the upliftment of the soul to his lotus feet, to his eternal service. So it has all those meanings in there, right? And that is the most important thing. Once again, the meanings. So going back to the text. Now we talk about Artha Panchaka. These are 5 truths. These are the 5 truths which have to be known. The 5 truths which have to be known. This is a reference to the 5 truths, Artha Panchaka, and there's a book also by Pila Lokacharya, and most probably someone will have studied this book, Artha Panchaka, before they studied Mumuksupadi, because Artha Panchaka really sets out these 5 truths and explains them in great detail. And therefore, he's just mentioning here those 5 truths once again when he's talking about the Tira mantra, because the Tira mantra explains all 5. This is a reference to the 5 truths, or Artha Panchaka. Panchaka means 5 things, and Artha means goals or gain. Five things that have to do with gaining. First is the nature of the soul. We all talked about the nature of the soul. The nature of the soul. The most important part of the nature of the soul is a complete Bhagavad Paratantriya that is completely subservient to the Lord. The nature of the Lord, he is Paratantriya. That is his nature. That he is completely Swatantra. I'm sorry, he is Swatantra. He is completely independent. We are Paratantra. The nature of the goal. What is the nature of the goal? The nature of the goal is moksha, but more specifically, what does moksha mean? Moksha means Bhagavad Kainkarya or Bhagavata Kainkarya. Bhagavad Kainkarya means the service of the Lord, and Bhagavata Kainkarya means the service of the devotees. So the service of the Lord in Sri Vaikuntha is the goal. So we have the nature of the soul, the nature of the Lord, the nature of the goal, the nature of the means, the paya, the nature of the means, right? So first thing we have to know is we have to know who we are. We have to understand the true nature of ourselves. We have to understand the true nature of the Lord. So then from the situation that we're in right now, what is the goal? What is the goal of our situation that we're in right now? To attain what? What is the goal? Without a goal, how can you even think of making a journey? Without a destination, right? So we have to understand our limitations, God's limitations, he has none, right? Then we have to understand the destination, the goal. Then we have to understand the means of attaining the goal, of how to get to the destination, right? And then we have to understand also if there's any obstacles in that. What is the nature of the obstacles? Obstacles in getting to the destination or achieving the goal. These are the 5 things. These are the 5 truths that have to be understood. Excuse me. The nature of Brahman, who is to be attained, the inner soul, who is to attain him, the means to attain him, the result of attainment, and the obstacles of attainment. Of these, all the Vedas, Itihasas, and Puranas speak, as well as the great-souled sages and the learned men who know the Vedas and Vedic truths. So that's a quotation. In the above passage, as the above passage says, all the Vedas and Shastras propound these 5 truths. Therefore, these same things are also to be propounded by this mantra, which summarizes these Vedas and Shastras. And that is stated also in the Upanishad, Narayana Upanishad, that the Om Namo Narayana mantra, the Astakshara mantra, is the essence of all the Vedas. Right? And by understanding it, you understand all the Vedas. This mantra must be explained. This mantra must explain the nature of the inner soul by the pranava, by the letter Om, by the syllable Om. The nature of the inner soul is described. The nature of the obstacle to reaching the goal or destination, and the upaya, or the method of reaching the liberation of moksha, the upaya, or the means to achieving the goal, is explained by the word namaha or namas, right? It said namas here because namas becomes namaha in this mantra, or it actually becomes namo, right? Om namo, right? Number 4. So the meaning of the nature of the soul is described. So these five truths. So out of Om Namo Narayana, the 5 truths are explained like this. The nature of the soul is explained by the pranava Omkara. The nature of the obstacles and the means to liberation are explained by the word namo or namas. The nature of the Supreme Lord is obviously explained by the word Narayana, right? I would also say that the word Nara in Narayana explains also about the soul, right? But we'll get to that. So Narayana, the word Narayana explains the nature of the Supreme Lord, because the Supreme Lord is Sriman Narayana, right? So understanding the word Narayana explains to us the nature of the Supreme Lord. So the nature of the goal, what is the goal again? The goal is Bhagavad Kainkaryam, eternal service to the Supreme Lord. Eternal service to the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha is the goal. So service is explained by the fourth case ending. What do we mean by the fourth case ending? In Sanskrit, there are different case endings to nouns. Nominal stems or nouns have a stem and they have endings put on them, right? So the endings that is put on in other languages like English, we use other words for by, with, or from, like that. But in Sanskrit, we use endings. That means that Sanskrit is an inflected language. It has these inflections or these endings that go on the. So the first is the nominative, the accusative, the instrumental, right? The dative is the dative is the fourth case ending. So the fourth case ending in Sanskrit is Aya. We have Narayana in the Astakshara mantra, means the Supreme Lord, but Aya means unto Narayana, for Narayana, or to Narayana. So unto Narayana or for Narayana indicates service. So that unto or for means service to Supreme Lord Sriman Narayana. That's the goal. That service to the Lord is the supreme goal, is moksha, is liberation. That liberation is the eternal service of the Lord in Vaikuntha. It is not kaivalya. It is not isolation and thinking of ourselves only, but it's active service to the supreme person in Vaikuntha. Let's go back to the other, it's said in the other translation. What are the meanings that are to be understood? Those are known as the Artha Panchika. They are the nature of the Supreme, the nature of the Jiva, the nature of the means, the nature of the goal, seeked, and the obstacles in reaching the goal. Both the Vedas and their Angas profess only 5 meanings. They are, so the Vedas and the Shruti and the Smriti, all the other scriptures, the Vedas and all the other scriptures have only 5 truths or 5 meanings in them. The nature of the Lord, who is to be attained, the nature of the soul who strives to attain him, the nature of the means of attaining him, the nature of the goal once he is reached, and the nature of the obstacles to that goal, to reaching that goal or destination. These are collectively known as the Artha Panchakam, or these 5 truths. As said in Tiruvai Taniyam, it is the meaning of this Artha Panchakam that is being stressed in Namalwar's Tiruvai as well. So Namalwar, his famous work, his magnum opus, his greatest work is Tiruvai of 1,000 pasurams or stanzas or verses in Tamil. Namalwar wrote. And the meaning of that is these 5 truths. So if people are very much interested to study the works of the Alwars, they study what's called Bhagavad Vishayam. Bhagavad Vishayam means the explanation, the commentary of the Acharyas on the Tiruvai of Namalwar, these 1,000 verses of Namalwar. But what is the meaning? What is the meaning of the 1,000 verses of Namalwar? This meaning is these 5 things, this Artha Panchaka. In the Tirumantra, the Pranava, or Omkara, expresses the nature of the soul. The word namas, or namaha, or namo, right, expresses the nature of the means. Namo means the means, not me, you, unto you, not me, unto you, right? As well as the obstacles of the goal. Right? The means, when you understand the means, you also understand the obstacle to the means also from the word Namo. Narayanaya expresses the nature of the Supreme, right? Excuse me, Narayana, the word Narayana expresses the nature of the Supreme. And the Chaturthi Vibhakti, or the 4th case ending, right? Aya, right? In the Aya in the end of Narayanaya, right? The Aya part expresses the nature of the Purushartha, which means the goal. What is the goal? The goal is liberation, but more specifically, that liberation is the active service of the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha. Therefore, the Tira mantra also stands for the meanings of Artha Panchika only. So the Artha Panchika is explained by the Tira mantra, and this is everything that needs to be known. And therefore, by knowing the Tira mantra and knowing the meaning of the Tira mantra, everything that is to be known is there in the mantra. We came up to this point of Artha Panchikam, explaining that the Artha Panchikam is explained by the Tira mantra.
It seems to me that it's like a coded message, the mantra.
Mantras are very much like sutras. Mantras have a lot of meaning in them. Even Bij mantras, even Bij aksharas, or just single syllables. I mean, everything can be understood even from the syllable Om. The syllable Om can explain all these things. But it's just that when we have Om Namo Narayanaya, it's easier to explain. Just like Dr. Awa was saying in the last class, he was saying about that everything is contained within Omkar also. It can be explained, We're going to explain. He's already explained because he's much further along in his discussion, in his teaching of Mumuksupadi. And our discussion, we haven't caught up yet with those classes, but we're going to explain the meanings of all the parts of Omkara. We're going to explain the parts of the rest of the mantra also. So, yeah, mantras are codes. Mantras are codes. Mantras are very deep. Mantras are not, we just don't say, like some mantras, like the Hare Krishna mantras, is just the words Hari, Krishna, and Rama in the vocative case. Oh, Hari, oh Krishna, oh Rama. So you can just take it like that, as just calling out for the Supreme Lord, like Draupadi was calling out to save me. So if you take it like that, that's one meaning. But if you go very deeply into the syllables, what are the meanings of those names? Why are they in that particular order? Why is the order changed? What is the meaning? Is there a different meaning for Hare if it's considered to be a form of Hara or a form of Hari? There's so much meaning that can be got in there. You can write so much about that. So it's the same thing with all these mantras, all these different mantras. They're like sutras. They have very deep meaning, and the importance is to understand the meaning much more than. But it's not a numbers game. Once again, it's not just a numbers game that mindlessly, like a parrot, we say a mantra, and we can teach a parrot to say a mantra. We can teach a computer to display a mantra millions of times. In Tibetan Buddhism, they have the prayer wheels. So sometimes you go in Nepal and you see, or Tibet, I've been there, and you can see there's some water flowing, and they put a little wheel in the water, and above the wheel there's a prayer wheel. And what they've done is that they've written out the Tibetan mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, which is a spiritual mantra. They've written it out on manuscripts hundreds of thousands of times, and wrapped those manuscripts around a central wheel and encased them in something. And they believe that as the manuscripts with the mantras on them turn around like this, the prayers go up to heaven. Millions of prayers every time it goes around one time. If you go to a Buddhist monastery, you touch the prayer wheels like this and turn them around, and it's like doing japa. It's their idea of chanting millions of times. I mean, like that, you could do 16 rounds and or 64 rounds just of japa. You could just do like touching the prayer wheel, send the prayers to heaven. But what use is it if you don't know the meaning of the mantra? What use is it? What use is it if you don't know the true meaning of the mantra? If you haven't become enlightened, what use? So yeah, of course, we read this today. We read that even if you don't know the meaning, and even if you don't surrender and you're not surrendered fully or something like that, the Tirumatra Mantra is still going to work for you. It's still going to work for you. Maybe we should make Tirumatra Mantra prayer wheels. Some people have some Buddhists, they have that. You go to Nepal, you can get a prayer wheel on a handle like that, and it's got a little weight attached to it by a chain. There's a little chain attached to a weight, and you go like this, and the weight spins around, and the prayer wheel goes round and round and round and round. That's how you do japa of that mantra. So that may even work with Tirumatra Mantra. Tirumatra Mantra is so amazing, but it's much better if we try to understand the inner meaning. And that's why books like Mumuksupadi and other Rahasya Granthas, other Rahasya books by Vedanta Deshika, also by Pila Lokacharya and Manavala Mamani, that's why they have written about this, because they really want people to understand the meaning. They really want people to understand the meaning, and not just, okay, it's a mantra. It's very great. It's from the Vedas. It says you'll go to Vaikuntha if you chant it. Okay, you can do that. But the Prapana, he wants to, and you may enjoy it too. You may enjoy just chanting Hare Krishna or chanting Om Namo Narayana, thinking of Narayana or thinking of Krishna, thinking of Radha Krishna. That's nice. That's an enjoyment which the Prapana does. We do enjoy it. But the important part for property, the important part for surrender is for the Prapana, right? These other Kama Yoga, Jnana Yogis, and Bhakti Yogis, they may use it in whatever way. But for the Prapana, for the person who's surrendered, the important part is the meaning. Much more important.